White's customers have been asking for a waterproof TDI for quite some time. Here it is, the TDI BeachHunter. This is waterproof to 25 feet, so you can use it in the water. It's great on the saltwater beach, in high mineral, black sand. It's a PI, so it does really well there. It's also a great prospecting metal detector if you need a waterproof gold nugget hunter. This could do it. It's also a good relic machine. This is the TDI in a waterproof package. The TDI BeachHunter has a hardwired search coil, so it's not disconnectable. That has actually increased the stability, so you can up your gain even more over at the TDI land model with the hardwired coil, which runs the smaller 6 and the larger 12 simultaneously. The TDI BeachHunter runs on a heavy-duty nickel metal hydride battery. It'll run about 5-6 hours on a set of batteries, which is a 12-volt set, again either 8 AA's or the standard equipment nickel metal hydride rechargeable system. The TDI BeachHunter can be used as a handheld. It can be shortened up significantly by removing this rod for a dive configuration, or you can remove the box and put it in a pouch which has a belt loop on the back. This is standard equipment, and use it as a hip mount. That'll take the weight off your arm with this control box. Let me show you a trick about taking it off the rod. Press the buttons on one side and twist the rod. It'll come right off, and you can mount that up in the pouch and put that on your hip. The hip mount pouch can be mounted vertically or horizontally. There's both straps on the back of the pouch, so you can fit it to your comfort level. But the hip mount definitely gives you an all-day comfort. The TDI controls are quite easy to understand. So the gain control turns it on and off and adjusts how sensitive the detector is. The pulse delay control controls how it's sampling the pulse. And by adjusting this, you can deal with bad ground conditions, extreme minerals. You can tune those out with the correct pulse delay setting. It also affects your sensitivity to different alloys. So the lower pulse is better for soft metals like your golds and your nickels. The higher pulse typically gets rid of a lot more of your bad ground conditions. Now the frequency shift gets rid of other detectors. It's actually changing how much or how quickly it's pulsing. So by changing the frequency, you can get away from interference, EMI, from non-metal detectors or other metal detectors. You've got a volume control and you have a threshold control. Now the threshold, you want as soft a sound as you can and still hear it. That gives you the best sensitivity and lets you know really what's going on with the detector more so than not having a threshold. The ground balance control needs to be the last thing you adjust. So if you change your gain dramatically, you need to re-ground balance. If you change your pulse delay dramatically, you need to re-ground balance. If you change your frequency dramatically, you need to re-ground balance. So the low battery light, the red light, it'll come on when your batteries are starting to get to where it's not gonna run the detector well. You got about 15 to 30 minutes once that light starts flashing and coming on to where you're gonna need to swap batteries out or recharge. Typical day at the Oregon beach, we got fog and sunshine. Fog to the south, sunshine to the north, but now we can show you how to run this detector. First thing we're going to do is turn the detector on with the gain control, and we're going to set that at about 12 o'clock to start with because we know we've got a lot of mineral down here in the Oregon coast. Second thing you're going to do is adjust the threshold for a slight hum. Now you could bring it up to the hum and then back it off to silence if that tone bothers you, but your best sensitivity is when you can just barely hear that background tone or threshold. Second thing you're going to want to do is see if you need to ground balance the detector. So you're going to turn the ground balance control up to about 12. You're going to pump the search coil. And there really isn't any ground mineral in this particular spot. So we could turn that ground balance control to off and it'd be just a straight PI detector with no ground balance. Or we could go ahead and run the ground balance and get a little bit better tones between the high tone and the low tone for low conductors and high conductors. If there were minerals here, we'd pump the loop and adjust the ground balance until that threshold tone stays virtually the same. If when you pump the coil, the tone is changing dramatically, you need to keep adjusting the ground balance. Find the spot on the ground balance control where the tone doesn't change as you do this with the search coil over your search spot. At that point, we're ready to hunt. Now, if we had a lot of interference from another metal detector or from EMI, we could change our frequency, but we would want to re-ground balance after we did that. Another thing we can do is if we're getting a lot of hot rocks or cold rocks or mineral spots that are causing us a lot of trouble, we could turn the pulse delay up a little bit. And again, we'd have to re-ground balance after we did that. Now, you want to run your pulse delay as low as possible that still works well for you, because that gives you your best sensitivity to your gold. But if the ground is causing you a lot of problems, you've got to increase it until the ground goes away. That's a little different than the ground balance control, but again, if you adjust your pulse delay, or if you adjust your gain, or if you adjust your frequency, re-ground balance. You also have the volume control. It has quite good volume. Of course, you could turn that way down if you want. Again, though, the higher volume gives you your better sensitivity because you can hear the targets a little bit better. The TDI BeachHunter is fixed in what we call the all position, which means you hear all metals. Here's a low conductor, which a low conductor is your gold rings, your nickels, your smaller, thinner targets. Has what we call a high tone. Your high conductors, which would be your coins, your big targets, are the different lower sound. So high conductor, that would typically be a coin on the beach. Low conductor, that would typically be your gold and your jewelry. Now, if you come across an iron target, you're likely to get a mix of both the high and the low sound. If you're new to hunting the sandy beaches, you need a sand scoop. This type of handheld sand scoop is best if you're on the beach. If you're in the water, the longer handle tends to work a little better. But with a scoop like this, you get your target, you take your scoop, shake it out, and you can hear it. And that gets recovering your target very quick and efficient, and you have more time for finding the good stuff. In the water, the longer handle sand scoop works much better. You can stand upright. Another thing people like to do is drag it behind them like you saw me doing. You can see where you've been. White's developed the TDI BeachHunter not just from demands from beach hunters, demands from relic hunters and prospectors as well that need a waterproof, high-power pulse model. If you're interested in the TDI BeachHunter, check us out at whiteselectronics.com or check with your local White's dealer.